It's still early, so it's relatively cool, so I'm gonna take advantage of this time and work on rocks this morning. Here goes. We're two hitchhikers. We met while hiking Mount Baldy with mutual friends, wasted no time, got engaged on a frozen alpine lake, got hitched, and have been adventuring together since. We're embarking on a new adventure of living big in a tiny home. Let's see how this goes.
Adventure awaits.
Now, even though I was doing my best to fit all of these rocks together and not just dump them in, one of the corners actually split apart at its seam. Since I wasn't able to continue working on the gable wall until Ruben got home and addressed this, I decided to move on to working on the garden. I decided to do a little experiment to see if seeds would actually sprout anything in these water bottle greenhouses. Considering our very cold nights that are still in the 30s, I wanted to see if this would work in comparison to having a seed mat indoors. And the results were actually about the same. I have some tomato and sweet pepper seedlings that need a little bit more elbow room, so it's time to transplant them into their own solo cups so that they can develop stronger roots before I then transplant them into the garden bed. I buried the water bottle greenhouses about a third of the way into dirt to take advantage of thermal mass and just made sure to close the lids at night. It seemed to keep them warm enough. And it's always nice to see little creepy crawlies in our soil to let us know that it's healthy.
These metal zip ties are really strong. Well, it is another morning and we have a few more bucket loads to get. This time Ruben is going to help me. Hopefully today is the last day and we get that wall finished and then we can backfill it. But first I want to show you how well of a job the cows are doing. So this right here is the line that with the charge on it. The cows are grazing on this side, not on this side. But to give you a better perspective, here's this side. And here's this side. So you can see there is a notable difference. They're doing their job. So now that this is fixed, it's time to fill in this corner and fill in all the rest.
We're adding some backfill here because the weight of the rocks seems to be adding some stress to the wire structure. His tail is so pretty.
Okay, so now that we finished the first gable wall, we are going to continue on with the next one because we are going to be continuing on building the pad here, and it's not going to be as wide because it's not going to require that much of a load. So we're going to be scraping this out right here and continuing the gable wall. It's not going to be as long, it's going to be half as long, and it's just going to allow us to build out this pad so that we can get stairs to go up to our sky deck.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah.
And the gable wall is going to take half as long to build because it's half as long and half as wide, right?
And we know what we're doing.
But first, Ruben needs to service the backhoe. That way we can actually utilize the bucket to scoop up the big rocks at Marmot Mountain. By the way, these stainless steel cable ties and the metal tie wrap gun has come in so handy for us. We'll put a link in the description below. It's like 25 bucks. We're not sponsored, but in case you ever do something like this, we highly recommend this. Do you want this side on the inside?
Whichever, they both look straight. Come on. Piece of wire.
Quicker than I do it.
The wheat should be ready for harvest when?
It's supposed to be at the end of June. Ready for round 2?
Well, yes, but show me the ways.
Little rocks first. Don't break the paper.
And somehow I did not get any footage of us filling it up, but where there were no rocks, now there are rocks. And now it's time to backfill. Remember that little hole we dug for the septic tank last year? Well, the dirt has been sitting in a pile here and has been waiting to be used. And now it's going to be our backfill.
So as you can see on Gable number 1 here, the first one we did, we've got some waviness going on, and that was not intentional. We have a lot going on here. There's a lot of mass in here with these lava rocks, but we had to make this retainer wall. It's a gable wall, but it's serving as a retainer wall. Make it strong enough to be able to withstand this gravel pad from making any movement, because we have that very heavy water tank up there. So this had to be large. And on the inside, we did some internal structure bracing with more of the hog wire in here, or I think livestock fencing is probably the better word for it. But we did these in a diagonal fashion going this way and this way. And we have a few of these alongside, but it didn't quite hold up as well as we had hoped.
In fact, Ruben had to actually add a little bit more interior bracing to it.
Now this one, granted, it is a bit thinner. It's not 3 feet wide. It's closer to 2.5 feet, I believe. And as you can see, there's not much waviness. It's pretty darn straight. So what we think, aside from this being a little bit more shallow, but we did the bracing going straight back from here to the back in 4 specific increments on the top and on the bottom. And that made for a much, much stronger structure. So if we were to do this again, we would go this route instead of the diagonal route, but they're both strong for now. They're actually strong, not for now. They're not going anywhere. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, because it's hard to tell with these rocks, this one is quite big. Let's see, there we go. Now what we plan to do with these bigger flat ones that we find is we're going to create some natural steps in here leading up to the pad up here. We're going to be building this out, but that is, again, for the future. We can't do everything in one weekend, as much as we'd like to think we can. This has been our shower water for the last year. I'm telling you, we should take a bet how many dead frogs are in there.
We shall see.
Aside from finishing the gable walls, we were able to backfill the holes in trenches. We're still going to need some more gravel, but that will just be to level it off. For now, we are good. Well, family, that wraps up this week's update. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to let us know in the comments below and also hit that like button. Here's a little Milky Way shot for you that I took a few evenings ago. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.